This just in. It turns out that true love's first kiss does not prevent the coronavirus. If anything, it is the worst possible thing you can do at the moment. And now we return to our regularly scheduled program. With all the craziness of the coronavirus going on, it is up to us again to ask ourselves the most important questions. Do I have enough toilet paper? How will I provide for my family? And most importantly, how long will it take Snow White to outrun a horde of zombies before she finally dies? The answer to all this and more in today's episode. Welcome back to another episode of For Real, the only show that takes quarantine so seriously that we fired our other co-hosts and we've quarantined ourselves in an underground bunker. That is a lie. No, we're back here at home, everyone else is safe, that's all that should be, social distancing. And today we're here to answer another important question. Which Disney princess would survive a zombie apocalypse? According to the official Disney Princess webpage, we will be dealing with 12 contenders. Snow White, Cinderella, Aurora, Ariel, Belle, Jasmine, Moana, Tiana, Rapunzel, Pocahontas, Mulan, and Merida. But what about Anna and Elsa, you may ask yourself? Well, if you saw the movies, they both became queens, and technically they are no longer Disney princesses, so all the fans of Frozen out there, just let it go. We will also break this episode into two parts and determine a contender from the golden age of Disney and the modern age of Disney, and at the end pin the two contenders to determine which of these princesses is the most capable to survive a zombie apocalypse. And as always, we can't talk about movies without a proper movie snack, and with the whole quarantine going on, what better snack than hand sanitizer and toilet paper? So with that in mind, let's get started. Off the bat, we start with the fairest of them all, and in terms of personal skills, there isn't much there. From what the movie shows, Snow White can clean, cook, and communicate with woodland creatures. In terms of survival, I think cooking and talking to animals can come in handy, but not to much of an extent. Snow White is saved by the 7 dwarves. Each dwarf is armed with mining equipment. In my opinion, they are most suited to survive than Snow White is. I mean, I'm not even going to try and make a case for Snow White and her survivability in the woods. She goes into a full anxiety attack and pictures the woods to be this dark nightmare. In reality, she only has her companion to help her out during a crisis. Based on all the factors, we're giving Snow White a score of 5 out of 15. She can make food from what she gathers, and she has some solid help from the 7 dwarves, but on her own, she wouldn't last. Much like Snow White, Cinderella has skills that are really only suitable for the home. Cooking and cleaning, as shown by the film, I will only give her a 1 because basic cooking is an essential skill of survival. Cinderella continues the pattern of animal sidekicks through birds and mice. The animals help Cinderella to make dresses and obtain the key that lets Cinderella out of her room. Although very helpful and loyal, these sidekicks have their own villain in the form of Lucifer, and their size makes them not as helpful. She does have a fairy godmother with magic, but doesn't do much to actually help Cinderella in the end. Nowhere in the first movie do we see Cinderella having to deal with harsh external factors aside from her own stepmother and sisters, and some time travel in the third movie, but we won't be talking about sequels here. In the film, Cinderella isn't shown to be much of a brave, strong character, and thus isn't capable to survive an apocalypse. After being sheltered by the 3 fairies, Aurora learns simple house skills as the movie depicts. She knows the same as Snow White, including her ability to accept any stranger. She only gets a 1 just because she is slightly more aware of her surroundings than Snow White. As mentioned before, Aurora was blessed by 3 fairy godmothers who stick with her throughout the story. Although they bless Aurora with gifts and guardianship, They actually don't get to use much of their powers to take down Maleficent in the end, so as the viewers, we aren't really sure of how much power the godmothers really have. Aurora is more wiser and confident in going out into the woods than other princesses. However, her decision making still makes her be at the bottom of the list. With a score of 5 out of 15, Aurora snoozes at the bottom of the barrel, allowing others to do the work for her, leaving her to survive all on her own. Take a quick turn from the land to under the sea. With Ariel, we start to see a shift in the bravery and intelligence of the Disney princess. Ariel has an advantage of living underwater, having to deal with sharks and sea witches. However, she is told to stay in her place, and when it comes to the land, she doesn't have much of an advantage there. Ariel has 5 main companions through the film: Sebastian, who only advises to stay under the sea; Flounder, who is a fish; Scuttle, the only land animal who doesn't know anything about the land; Prince Eric probably has a fleet of people to aid him; and King Triton is the literal king of the ocean. I think in terms of survival, Ariel has a major advantage over other princesses. Ariel is really only skilled under the sea, since there are really no water zombies and all of these scenarios are land-based. Ariel's survival is put to the test and ultimately fails. Ariel is able to surpass the previous princesses, but only by so little. I have a bias with France, but for the sake of this debate, I will put that to the side. Belle might be the most intellectual and knowledgeable of all the princesses from what the movies show. She's able to make decisions based on what she's read, but that has also isolated her and made her an outcast. I'll give her a 2 out of 5 because at the end of it, she's able to make certain decisions to help her out. Belle's main companions are humans who have been turned into furniture. Although they are just furniture, they are able to stand their ground when Gaston breaks into the castle and are able to fight back against the humans. Belle chooses to be captured for the sake of her own father, so in other words, she just becomes pampered by all the furniture. She does, however, have a charisma that allows others to help her out in dire situations. Belle is able to secure a high position through her intelligence and independence, but is all that enough to stay at the top? The last princess on this round is not only a popular one, but she was also the first princess of color. Jasmine continues to break the stereotype of needing a prince and wants more to life than just marriage. When faced with the opportunity of roaming outside the palace, she places herself in danger right away until Aladdin comes to her rescue. She is smart, though, when it comes to manipulating and tricking Jafar. Jasmine may have one of the most powerful allies in the form of Genie. Jasmine also has Aladdin, Abu, and the magic carpet to escape any dire situation. However, as much of a companion she has, Jasmine still chooses to be an independent princess. Jasmine is hardly ever alone, and she always depicted alongside one of her main companions. This is not to say she can't survive on her own, but there isn't much evidence to suggest that she can. Jasmine makes it to the top with the highest score, all due to the fact that she is surrounded by strong companionship when it comes to fighting off a horde of zombies. And with that, Jasmine becomes the contender for the first half of the tournament. But there are still others waiting to be assessed. Will her score be enough to keep her at the top, or will others come and seize the crown? Find out all this and more in the next episode of For Real.